This is rental car number 101, and today I'm driving the 2018 Hyundai Tucson SEL Plus with all-wheel drive. This is a 5-passenger crossover SUV in dazzling white. That's not me, that's Hyundai's name for it. This one MSRPs for about $29,000 and is quite a bit of fun to drive. Let's start out by popping the hood and taking a look at what's underneath. This is a front-wheel drive vehicle. It's got a 2-liter 4-cylinder engine with a 6-speed automatic transmission. Kicks out 164 horsepower and has some decent gas mileage considering it's a crossover SUV. 21 miles per gallon in the city, 26 on the highway. This thing has a 16.4 gallon fuel tank that's located on the driver's side of the vehicle. So right now around me, gas is about $2.90 a gallon. That means if you fill this thing up, it's probably going to cost you about $48. All right, so I got a new camera. It's a little bit heavier, a little bit different, but let me see if I can show you what it's like to drive this vehicle. First off, let's go around a pretty steep 180-degree turn, and I'm going to accelerate to about 20 miles an hour, see how it feels. It's hugging the corner pretty well. Oh, you hear that? That's all my stuff falling in the back. Not smart, but it does feel pretty tight around that corner. I didn't feel like I was going to slip at all. I did slow down quite a bit, but that's just because I'm pretty cautious. Come to a complete stop, and let's see the acceleration. So I've been driving this for 3 days so far, and I have not been thrilled with the acceleration, but I haven't done a start to 60 just yet. So let me slam on that accelerator. Let's see how we do. All right, that's 45, that's 50, and 60. That wasn't great in my opinion. It really feels like you have to wait a while for the car to accelerate and catch up to what you want it to do. Alright, so I'm cruising at about 65 miles an hour. If you'll notice, the cabin noise it's okay. I think you can hear me talk fairly easily, but it's definitely a nice hum in the background. I haven't had a whole lot of trouble listening to my podcasts and my music, but it's definitely not the best SUV as far as cabin noise goes that I've driven lately. The ride itself is fairly comfortable. When I go in over bumps, it doesn't hurt. And, oh, can you hear that? That cabin noise is just not great. I can really hear that old Honda minivan going by. I guess what I'm trying to say here is that this car isn't the fastest thing on the road. It's definitely comfortable, but if you're looking for something with a lot of acceleration, you might consider looking elsewhere. But that's just my quick take on the Tucson. You might think differently. Let's jump inside this vehicle so I can show you some more exciting bells and whistles that you have to look forward to if you do drive this vehicle yourself. Alright, let's take a quick look at the key. You do get a nice key fob with Hyundai's logo on the back, 4 buttons on the front, lock, unlock, the trunk release, and then also a panic button. This actually has a physical key, so you press the button right here and it flips out, and then from there it's just pretty much standard stuff. So here's the steering wheel setup, a number of buttons on here. On this side you have your volume rockers. You also have controls to adjust the settings on the center display, buttons to interact with your phone, and then on the right hand side you have your cruise controls, and then oddly the buttons right here, actually this button right here, interacts with the center display and the gauge cluster. So if you'll notice, this button to here, this button to there. It's a little bit crossed, which is slightly annoying, but everything seems to work pretty well. Up top you get a nice sized gauge cluster, 2 big dials, and then a small digital display right in the center. There's not a tremendous amount of information available on the center screen, but enough to get by. Tire pressure, your miles per gallon, a couple other odds and ends. What I do like is that the menu structure right here is fairly easy to cycle through, so if you want to change some things like whether or not the car beeps at you when you lock it, it's really easy to find that in the menu and change it very quickly. And that's always an added bonus in my opinion. Shifting your gaze down into the left, you have your window controls, your door locks, and your mirror controls. Up top you have your traction control buttons along with a button to adjust the brightness of the display. And then down below you have your trunk release and then a push pedal parking brake. And then all the way on the floor you have the release for the gas cap. Side view mirrors are worth really quickly talking about just because they have a small cutout in the upper left-hand corner that gives you a little bit more visibility while you're driving. That is not available on the other mirror, so, well, take that with a grain of salt. Up top you have two lights that help illuminate the cabin, a sunglass holder, and then a very standard mirror. I say that because there's no garage door opener controls or no automatic dimming feature. It's just an old-fashioned rear view mirror with the flip function capability. Below there you have the center display. Nice colors, pretty easy to navigate through everything. This is a touchscreen. It does have some pretty nice feedback. You'll notice that Android Auto and Apple CarPlay are available on this car. All you have to do is connect your phone down here to the USB port and it'll automatically load up for you. I did have some problems connecting my cell phone to this via Bluetooth. The initial setup only took a few seconds, but I'm finding that it'll cut in and out. So I will still be connected and I'll see what I'm trying to play on my phone up here, but the audio will be coming out of my cell phone. It's just slightly annoying. But that's probably just me. Overall, the system's worked great. I do like that there are dedicated buttons on the bottom to help you navigate to everything. So this makes it really easy to cycle through, for example, the radio, or go back to my cell phone and connect via Bluetooth. So you'll notice, I don't know if you could tell,
legend had it that she'd been the mistress of a KGB officer.
Right, so it's playing out of my cell phone right now, not over the speakers on the car. Kind of annoying. Climate controls are great, big buttons for everything, two nice dials, one for the fan, one for the actual temperature, and then buttons down below to control everything else that's important. I think it's a little bit disappointing that when you adjust the climate, right, so I'm adjusting the fan right now, you don't get a pop-up window on the center display. So these are not connected in any way. I say that because I really like it when there's some sort of digital readout on the vehicle to tell me what temperature I'm setting the car at, but that is not present on the Hyundai Tucson, unfortunately. Down below you have Hyundai's standard setup, two power ports, although you will need an adapter for these, an auxiliary jack, and a USB port, along with a nice storage space right below. It's, I think, perfect for a cell phone. So when you do hook up your phone, it's really easy to leave it here to allow it to charge or to connect directly with the vehicle. The gear shift shifts through the gears very smoothly, and it does have sport shift capability, so you can pop that gear shift to the left, and then you can adjust the gears manually while you're driving. I think it's worth mentioning that when you do put the car in reverse, you do get a red LED light that comes up. Park, neutral, and drive are all in blue. Also, when you shift the car into reverse, you do get a rear view camera. This is a pretty wide display. If you'll notice, you can see 3 parking spaces, not only mine, but the ones to the left and to the right really clearly. So that'll make driving this vehicle in reverse that much easier. A couple other odds and ends, 2 cup holders right here. You also get an additional storage space right here that I've been keeping my cell phone in. Additional buttons to control the drive modes of the vehicle, and then another small storage space, probably perfect for change. Over here you have a center armrest made out of it's pretty nice faux leather. Open it up and you reveal a small tray that's removable, and then a storage space down here that's fairly small, but you know, should be pretty useful. And then over on the passenger side we do have a glove box with a large manual in it. This is fairly small, but you know, it should work just fine to keep the manual and your registration paperwork. Alright, so that's all the major highlights of the front seat. Let's jump in the back seat so we can take a look at what kind of amenities your passengers are going to get to enjoy. First off, legroom is pretty abundant. I have about 6 to 8 inches between the back of my knees and the back of the front seat, which I typically keep pushed back quite a ways. You do have some pockets on the back of both seats. And this feels like a pretty nice quality nylon. It feels pretty good. If you'll notice on the back of the center armrest for the front seat passengers, there are no vents, power ports, or USB ports of any kind. It's just kind of a blank space. Thankfully, there's a couple more things we can talk about back here. First off, the car seat anchors. This is one of my pet peeves when they're buried pretty deep behind the seat itself. This one's not too bad. You have to manipulate the seats just a little bit, but then you can see you do have access to the car seat anchor, so it shouldn't be too troublesome to hook up a car seat back here. There's also a center armrest that folds down to reveal 2 cup holders. All right, so that's all the major highlights of the back seat. Let's close things out by opening up the hatch and taking a look at the storage space back here. Without pulling down the passenger seats, you'll notice there's quite a bit of storage space back here. It's a nice big rectangular shape, so you should be able to get all kinds of things back here without any trouble. And thankfully, underneath the floor of this area, there is a spare tire. It's not a full-size spare, but it's still nice to have. Now, those passenger seats do fold down pretty easily. You just pull up on these small controls right here, and the seats fold down almost all on their own. When you do fold those seats down, you reveal a much bigger storage space that I think you could probably get maybe a queen-size mattress back here if you angle it properly. What I'm trying to say is that there's plenty of room when you fold those seats down to hold all kinds of things, which is, I think, what you want when you're buying a crossover SUV like this. All right, so that's pretty much everything end-to-end on the 2018 Hyundai Tucson. I was lucky enough to drive this car for 3 days. I put, I think, 400 miles on it. I tend to drive these vehicles quite a bit. Anyway, in that period of time, I got a good amount of time behind the wheel, and I think I can form a pretty detailed opinion on this vehicle. So I'm going to give it 4 stars. This is a solid crossover SUV, especially when you consider it's only $30,000. However, the acceleration is a little bit disappointing for me, and I wasn't thrilled with all the problems I had with the technology. Anyway, that's just my take on this vehicle. If you think differently, please leave me a comment below. I'd love to hear from you. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you'll join me next time when I rent and review my 102nd rental car. I'll see you then.